The major difference between conifers and hardwoods is that there's usually a slight difference in the orientation of that branch collar. Hardwoods tend to come out farther, you're often making a bigger angle on that cut, where conifers, you're making a smaller angle and sometimes straight down. Alright, I'm Neil Thompson with the Forestry Program at the University of Maine at Fort Kent, and today we're running a workshop on pruning. So how to make the correct pruning cuts so that you're protecting the branch collar of the tree, which will allow the tree to heal over the wound as quickly as possible and prevent the entrance of diseases and fungi. So on this maple tree on campus at UMaine Fort Kent, we are going to prune up a couple of feet so that the lawnmower can get around here without banging off the operator's head or damaging the tree. So on this and most hardwood trees, the branch collar comes off of the trunk at an angle about like so. So I need to both support the branch so that it does not pull down, and I'm going to make that cut at an angle so that I make sure to preserve that branch collar, which is the tissue that is specialized to recover after a branch has died and seal over that wound. So while I'm supporting this branch, I'm going to estimate the angle. And make the cut at an angle maybe 20 or 30 degrees off center there. So that has left the entire branch collar, and that will seal over that wound starting this year and probably finish sealing off next spring. With this larger branch, I'm going to make a series of 3 cuts, first to relieve the weight of that branch and then to make the cut at the correct angle. So the first cut is from below. If I were to continue this cut, my saw would pinch because the weight of this branch is pulling it down. I'm going to remove the saw, go up, out from the trunk of the tree, and come from the top. That cut below prevents the tearing of the bark, which could carry on straight down the trunk of the tree, creating a large open wound. Now I can come in at the proper angle for this branch collar. Every one is different, so you have to inspect every branch you're cutting. Now with that done, all of these wounds will heal over within 2 or 3 years. The larger one might take 3. These might heal over this year. These ones might heal over next spring. But that will allow the tree to have its best chance at a complete and healthy recovery. And now we've removed the lower branches that were in the way of the maintenance of the campus. So the major difference between conifers and hardwoods is the conifers, they also have a branch collar, but it is sometimes recessed within the tree, and it is sometimes held much closer to the trunk. With conifers, you're often making a cut more or less straight down. This one, I can see the branch collar comes out maybe 3/8 of an inch. So I'm going to be making a slightly angled cut on this one. Every branch is an individual, every tree has its own growth habits. In this case, I'm going to just come straight down at just the slightest angle to avoid that branch collar. So there you can see the protruding branch collar, and that is going to heal over here. This dead branch, there's no branch collar underneath. I can come straight down on that with no angle, directly parallel to the trunk. So with all trees, you're avoiding that branch collar. You're leaving that intact. That specialized tissue is going to help seal over the wound, as it's adapted to do over millions of years. And the major difference between conifers and hardwoods is that there's usually a slight difference in the orientation of that branch collar. Hardwoods tend to come out farther, you're often making a bigger angle on that cut, where conifers, you're making a smaller angle and sometimes straight down. You can see all along here, that big fat tissue, that's all the branch collar. So that's what you want to leave when you're making your cut. You don't want to go out any farther than that. You don't want to cut into it. You want to have it sliced right down the middle. This one was done perfectly. It was cut off at exactly the right location that the tissue called the branch collar was able to heal around the entire circumference of that wound. So you see how there's new tissue forming all throughout. So this right here was a branch that was cut off properly. It is completely sealed over, and you can see it's just like any other piece of bark. It's completely sealed over as a good barrier to disease.